A crew of UK scientists declared the recording for decode the planet's longest DNA succession. The scientists manufactured a DNA recite how is on 10,000 times much longer rather than regular, and 2 times as big as a early recording mount, of Australia. The study has started an ASH-style contest to succession and whole chromosome in a solitary recite. The new mount of the prize for planet's longest DNA recite is a crew led by Matt Friable at Nottingham College. The preliminary is a technology one, the is on read the DNA quite rather than the opening of a especially big genome. The DNA utilized for the length recite came of a humane. But the scientists expect the job will do it quicker and facilitating to succession gene data since, now, DNA has to be minced up in less trimming and later reassembled for the trial of sequence. Dr. Friable's team as well newly manufactured the largest full humane genome succession with a hand-sized nanopore sequence car. These potential propose reduce price and more rapid handling for DNA sequence. He said down there has been a contest fleeing to see who can get the longest succession. I believe it is yet amiable. Dr. Friable went on to tell, Australia led for a time, but later we had a recite fair brief of a millionth. Human beings were later competitive to hit the recording, in special to beat the at first man to get a millionth base pair recite. This amiable complete startup and ASH styling prize how is imaginary to journey about the planet as human beings get the longest recite. An Australia crew of the Kinghorn Centre for Clinic Genomic was at first to undergo the millionth base landmark. The technique how enables scientists to recite rest of DNA sequences has go a length way with the millennium era racing to decrypt the at first humane genome. In the history 10 or so year, improved in DNA sequence technologies include intended how the unique trillion-buck humane genome of 2001 can now be copied for about $1,000. As expenses go on to fall, down there is an waiting how personalized DNA sequence is not far off. We might quickly include our genome decrypted for a travel to the physician's surgical, or more than controversially, our parents might include it recite for us, up we are though unborn. But one of the left stumble blocks is to put the DNA trimming along in the proper procedure. Fair as it is in theory probable, but rather hardly, how a chimp might play back a job of Shakespeare in one thumb-printed, machine-programmed are incapable to deassemble genomes of brief, jumbled DNA sequences. Dr. Friable said down there are a lot of ways by that you can recite DNA, but the issue is how the gene coding, or genome, is frequently lot billions of bases, and so to recite them all is really hard. Human beings include utilized lot various ways in the history, but substantially which they do is cut the DNA up in little trimming and later collect them behind along, a bit love which you would do in a puzzle surprise. Now try to get overlap images so how you can discover wherever the sky is and wherever the trees are and you can construct yours image. He explainable, nanopore sequence pledged reduce price and high recite lengths that tool how we can see at exciting organisms that are yet to be sequenced, since their genomes are unusually big. Fair as the scientists are competitive to make the longest DNA succession, the technique companies are hustling to be marketplace leaders in supplying these new woo. In the next, these methods pledge to both of revolutionize the insight of humane public health, and as well give the identical methods to some seedling and animals. Length read DNA sequence might be utilized to identification pathogens in food, be involved in illness monitoring in animals, utilized for the diagnostic of contagion, and discover uses in an extensive quantity of meal-related areas. I requested Dr. Friable on the agitated references to Rorqual watching on public print. We requested a way of distinctive length reads. Which does length indicate? It utilized to indicate reads of 300 bases instead of 150, later it intended 5,000. So we came up in the Rorqual scope, a millionth basis couple recite would be counterpart to a Rorqual of on a ton in way, love a unicorn. This longest recite how we include at the time is a sturgeon Rorqual. I requested him how length it will be up we include a dark blue Rorqual recite of a entire chromosome. Matt said it would be fabulous to succession a entire chromosome, if how is probable. If we scope the nanopore up to the amount of a humane clock, later a megabase of DNA is a cord of 3.2 kilometers, that you include to filament via your fingers out of it receive entangle or break. Down there is as well a very exciting issue of how lot crushed every chromosome has. I am not certainly you will always be capable to succession a chromosome of one end to the sum. Dr. Friable told of the recording breaking recite, in theoretical, nanopore sequence allows you to succession any long molecular of DNA. How's very rather various to how we include bin sequence DNA for lot year currently. The breakout in the document is how we include bin capable to succession a molecular of 2.3 millionth basis in long, that no one has always been capable to do up. Previous, the largest overall recite long would be 150 basis, or basis pairs, are the four persons letters how do up the DNA succession. We were newly training human beings in Singapore how to use these sequencers at the identical period as the Great Prix. If the Singapore Great Prix path is the identical as 150 basis, later a 2.3 millionth basis couple recite is 2 times about the circle of the land he explainable. In November 2017, Dr. Martin Blacksmith of the Kinghorn Centre for Clinic Genomic in Australia announced how they had a recite above a millionth basis. On to Dr. Friable, the Ash Prize was creature wrapped to do the travel to Australia, fair as Nottingham manufactured a winner 1.2 millionth basis couple recite. Howe has now been outnumbered once again by the sturgeon-sized 2.3 millionth basis couple recite. These woo did not go downward too so in Australia, in Dr. Blacksmith playfully responsible and Friable sucks picture, with a scoff up of the nanopore software program. Dr. Friable hopes how we will begin to use these methods to see at things love carcinoma genomes, wherever the DNA gets rebuilt. Chromosomes break down and they detonator behind wrong. In an interviewing, Dr. Blacksmith said me how the at first recording breaking infant Rorqual of 473,000 basis was of a carcinoma cage link. His crew is student these patient-derived carcinoma cells since their genomes are especially disordered, lot love a puzzle surprise how is lacking trimming and has components of else surprise. In the next, the methods will as well be utilized more than regularly in the hospital, in illness outbreaks, and driving out of labs and in individuals' hands. I as well requested both of scientists how length they mind the present recording will stay and who will get the prize following. Both of coordinated how the recording might recent for a year or so, but disagreed on who might gain, if the UK, Australia, or a guest. In a amiable C, Dr. Blacksmith said me, Matt should sleeping in one eye outdoor, since speaking on the length recite material has done me thirsty for a recording once again. Hold an eye of, we are departure to get how Ash Cup once again one date.